Final series for the day is a match between Echo and TNC. Echo has a lot to prove this season and TNC is still finding their groove. Which team will have the word victory on their phones after this series? Safe to say that the Orcas got the early game that they want. They had perfect pickups and were able to utilize JP's divine judgments. In retrospect, Sanford isn't stingy when it comes to his Black Dragon form. In fact, he's the one that usually starts the fight. Ryzen and Super Yoshi got displaced and JP closed out their exit path. While 3 members were focused on Carl TZ, Nomad was being chased by 2. In the end, Sanford got 1 kill and Benny Cutie got 2. Possibly one of the last fights for game number 1, Carl TZ used Daytona's welcome and locked heads down. The timing was perfect since Benny Cutie isn't too far from him. While that was happening, Sanford was also cleaning the front lines with his scary Yuzong connecting into JP's divine judgment. Ryzen gets taken down, Echo has placed a hole in TNT's base. The Phoenix finally answered. As quick as lightning, heads picked Benny Cutie off and everyone was fighting for their life in the mid lane. TNC tried to go for Carl TZ but he was too tanky. 1 Astral Meteor and Astral Echo was enough for Sanji to slowly chisel down TNC's lives. At the end of that fight, it was simply a 1-to-1 trade. Don't blink because this is officially the last fight for game number 1 and Carl TZ served as the bait. TNC thought he was alone so they did not expect the battalion of Orcas that invaded their jungle. Sanford used Dragon Soul to slow and knock up the members of TNC, securing the perfect opportunity for Benny Cutie to claw at them. Nomad was the first to fall down and with their main damage dealer gone, TNC was forced to pick up the pieces. Echo, seeing the finish line, finished off Ryzen, Super Yoshi, and the game. Moving on to game number 2, TNC needed to do a hard mental reset which, safe to say, was accomplished because they were all over the map and securing kills during the early game, leaving Carl TZ struggling with a 0-3 start. Even when the Violet Requiem was used, TNC still had the upper hand. Carl TZ's Turtle Steel isn't enough but it is a step towards the right direction. Super Yoshi's Masha easily melted Carl TZ's Julian and JP suffered the same fate on his Guinevere. Aside from the kills, TNC also took down a mid lane turret. Ryzen kept things interesting by securing the Lord in the previous spawn but what else is there? Well, there's this clean Astral Echo from Hatred which made it possible for him to snipe Sanford down. And Head's Yo-Yo Blitz was the stronger weapon against Sanji's fan. TNC won that skirmish with a 1-2 trade. The silence was palpable because TNC had the damage advantage and the Lord, on top of being at Echo's base. Benny Cutie was the first to fall down, but that wasn't their main goal because TNC has their eyes set on the base as they push the series to a game number 3 and the Phoenix has risen. Not surprised that the last series was the series that went all the way because more games means more action. JP called the shots and jumped in front of Ryzen which resulted to Sanji getting the first blood and Sanford getting the second. After a few more chases, Sanji locked in the killing spree not even 3 minutes in. Is the Sansan brothers finally online for game number 3? But of course, TNC is still riding their victory high. 1 overextend from Carl TZ and he paid for that with his life, which meant Echo had to give up the second turtle to their opponents. The casters mentioned this and it's warranted. What you're seeing is textbook Echo Express. Carl TZ used Shield of Spirit which connected to JP's Minoan Fury. The layering of CC was so good that TNC fell short in their counter engage, leaving Sanji to pick up 3 more kills.
The Sansan boy!
Here, Ryzen thought it was a good idea to use his ultimate on Carl TZ but regretted the decision once Sanji joined the party. JP used his ultimate again at the perfect time which stopped TNC from backing off. This was Benny Cutie's green light to use Zaman Force. All in all, Echo got 1 kill, their opponent's buff, and a jump start on the Lord. With the Lord marching on their bot lane turret and a Bagsha threatening within their base, TNC was left with no choice but to do a Hail Mary play. The prayer did not last for long since Nomad immediately got erased by Sanford. Excellent targeting from Echo. With their main damage dealer down, TNC's plan was disrupted. But Sanford did not care as he secures 2 more kills. Lord was still alive, and as Sanford got his 3rd kill, Echo set their eyes on their 2nd win, ending the day with a victory for their community.